Welcome to Season 2 of The New Dad Rock.
Podcasts have seasons?
Evidently.
So this is the beginning of Season 2? What happened to Season 1?
We did it.
We did it? What do you mean?
We did. It was a tremendous success. We had a whole season. We did 13 proper episodes. We had those 2 bonus episodes.
That Season 0 intro one?
Yes.
Oh, and the CD case thingy-majig?
That was our vacation week.
Yeah.
Because we recorded that like back in May.
Yeah,
and
that was
put it
nice.
out there. So
I enjoyed the time off.
no one noticed, but we were on vacation.
Woo!
Because we put a podcast out every week because you, the listener, are important to us and we don't want to let you down.
Do you know that we made 22 countries today? We didn't make the countries, but we've now been listened to in 22 countries.
6 continents, 22 countries, over 1,000 streams. Individual episodes have been downloaded over 100 times. I mean, it's pretty amazing. I mean, we're a true global phenomenon, and now it's time for Season 2 since we conquered the world already.
Oh, hold on. Last week, the episode with Brian, was that Season 3?
Well, yeah, there were 3 of us, so duh.
But there are already 2 of us.
Yeah, so we're in Season 2.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I was saying, welcome to Season 2. And remember a few weeks ago we were talking about live streams. We talked about Aransi Pazuzu, one of my favorite bands. But the live streams that bands are doing in lieu of concerts and live shows.
One of our fans actually sent me a link today to the Lollapalooza live stream. And they're showing like songs from like every season. So they have like the whole Lollapalooza set from Outkast from like 2014.
Do they have like Jane's Addiction from 91 in Saratoga Springs, New York?
Oh, I wish, man. No, what they do show...
Because that was awesome.
Totally. Wow. No, it says like Jane's Addiction. It's only 10 minutes, so I assume it's probably him and the guitarist doing a song or two.
I saw the very first one, and let me tell you, Butthole Surfers, I think, were the second band. And Gibby Haynes opened up the show. And if you've never seen the Butthole Surfers live before, and fortunately for me, I had at that point, so I knew what to expect. But Gibby Haynes, the Butthole Surfers are from Texas. He comes out, he's 6'5". He's wearing dungarees and a wife beater. And he comes out with a shotgun and points it at the crowd. And he's like, obviously it's blanks, but he comes out and he shoots the crowd with a shotgun. Could you imagine doing that today?
Dude, the year after that, I went to the second one up by you somewhere. I don't know, an outside festival near Albany. And
Saratoga, you went to SPAC.
Yeah, we got there. Second artist is up. It's Pearl Jam coming off of their first album. I remember the whole crowd running there, like when they start the first song. Also, the scariest thing I've seen at a concert, well, top 2 or 3, Ministry comes on. People charge the stage so much so that they run over a guy in a wheelchair. Like they just start climbing over him to get into the pit for Ministry. The good old days, man. Live music.
Yeah, man.
So, video streams. Any good video streams coming up?
What I was about to say, and I think we mentioned it in last week's episode, Greg Dulli, who you and everyone should know from the Afghan Whigs, they broke up around 2000. He became the Twilight Singers for about a decade and a half. He did some one-off things. He put out a solo record earlier this year. He's not working with Afghan Whigs currently, and the guitarist that he played with often in the Twilight Singers passed away from cancer a couple of years back. So he's just Greg Dulli, and these are his only shows of 2020.
Yeah, we actually watched it together. Well, not quite together. We watched it at the same time.
That's exactly what happened. So I thought what we'd do is kind of go over the playlist. And that way, along the way, we could talk about his career from his recent solo album, Random Desire.
He played 2 shows, right?
Right, so he did 2 shows, one in the evening in Europe time, like I think it was like 6 or 8 p.m. Europe time, and then 9 p.m. New York time, 6 p.m. for you out in San Francisco. So Keith, you saw Greg Dulli's post on Twitter after the first one, but before the second.
Yeah, and after I bought my ticket. So I didn't know it was going to be pre-recorded.
I had a suspicion. I wasn't sure the whole time. The Aransi Pazuzu one was live, and they were doing live editing, in-camera editing.
That's sick.
And tricks within the camera.
Yeah.
While it was being recorded. Granted, there were 5 different people in the band, so they could switch cameras while they were messing around.
Yeah, in hindsight, I'm okay with what happened. I thought it was great. I know I recorded it recently. recorded it live. I enjoyed it. The song selection's crazy.
Yeah, it was. I was under the impression that he was going to do a lot more from throughout his career, and what he did was basically from 2000 on. The oldest song I think he played, not counting covers, was the one from the first Twilight Singers album, King Only, which he played sort of near the end of the set. And that was the first Twilight Singers album, which was maybe 2000, 99, 2000, 2001, something like that.
Yeah, you're going to have to tell me way more about the Twilight Singers in a second. But I want to echo what you just said, except because I don't know the Twilight Singers. I thought everything was from 2017. The 3 Afghan Whigs songs he did during the second show that we saw were all from the 2017 album. And the ones from before that were from, was it the 2015 album or even more recently, 2019 album? For me, the whole thing was like his most recent music, which as a guitarist myself, like, I get it. He just wants to play songs he likes playing, which are his new songs, so cool.
Yeah, and similar to what you said on the country episode, how they are very confined into a genre and there's so many subjects and so many things that you can talk about and chords that you can play. Greg Dulli's sound is a lot like that. So he started off in the Afghan Whigs in the early 90s. They put out, I think, 5 albums in the 90s. Through 1965 was the name of the last album that came out in 98. He played nothing off of those first 5 albums at all, which I was really, really surprised about.
Respect. Respect. I wanted to hear it, but respect.
Yeah, so at that point, in around the turn of the century, he went off and founded the Twilight Singers, which was really a side project at the time. Greg was the leader and a series of players. He put out, I want to say, at least 5 more albums as the Twilight Singers, which to me are on par with what he did in the Afghan Whigs. I would say my favorite Afghan Whigs is Gentleman or 1965, and then I would put Blackberry Bell, which came out under the Twilight Singers label in 2003. Those are my 3 favorite albums. I know a lot of people really are high on Black Love. I'm not as big into it. And I guess the record buying public wasn't into it as well, because that was their follow-up to Gentleman. That was the point where they could have jumped off and been huge and been selling out arenas, which I think they should be, but there's not a lot of people that share my view.
What's interesting is, like, Twilight Singers, I have no, like, knowledge of them. Like, I literally never listen to albums. I'll do that after this. But, like, I never listened to it. So you're saying that's, like, 5 albums after the Afghan Whigs. And he said Afghan Whigs is his favorite hang, which makes sense. Like, you know, I have a band. I love my band when I hang out with my band. But, like, watching him play the songs in the beginning on piano and then later again, like, he carried everything on acoustic and electric, and he had the slide guitars. That guy was great. But, like, he is a songwriter. Whether he's in the Afghan Whigs or the Twilight Summers or the Glitter Twins or whatever that is. And, you know, like, he likes writing songs and he sounds like himself.
Yeah, it's really who he's collaborating with. And with the Afghan Whigs, it's the bassist John Curley. Their guitarist Rick McCallum, who was, I thought, awesome. His slide guitar playing in the 90s really made the Afghan Whigs. And I think once he got back together with John Curley in 2014 and 15, 16, 17, they put out 2 new albums. Supposedly they're working on a 3rd, and they got a little bit waylaid. I think John was back in school or something, and they couldn't get together, so that's why he went out and did this solo album. Fast forward a couple months, you're in the coronavirus shutdown, and that led to tonight's show.
Yeah, I mean, he did tonight's show because he loves performing for people, and he wrote that out because he had nothing else to do. That's what I was thinking. I was telling my kids at dinner as we were watching the beginning of the set. I'm like, this guy's day job is to be a rock star. And I'm like, during the coronavirus, when you can't be a rock star by touring and hanging out and giving interviews, you're probably just going to play music and write songs. And he did, and that's awesome.
He's a pretty good businessman because he basically played... When he recorded this a couple of days ago, he recorded essentially an 1.5 hour long set.
Yeah.
And he wisely broke it up into 2 different hour-long sets with half overlap. Yeah. So 2 hour-long sets, half of it overlaps. It's an 1.5 hour set. And, you know, he had people paying double for it. So Good for Greg and good for the venue. So there is a way to make money. And I would love in the future. Look, I'm a guy in my mid-40s that lives out in the suburbs. There are so many shows that I would love to see. But if you're telling me that St. Vitus in Brooklyn will allow me to pay $8, $10, $12, even $15 to see a band that I want to see from the comfort of my own home, phone, couch, commute home, what have you, and just watch it and experience, I'd be up for that. And I think that might be a business model going forward.
100%. I mean, but like Instagram already has that. Fish already does that. Like YouTube, you can do that if you want. Patreon enables that. Like, I'm saying it already exists. But like, I agree. I'll pay for like a $10 show once or twice. But it's not like I'm going to be buying millions of shows. But it is like the future is here now. Because that's what you thought as a kid. Is like, how can I be at that show now when I'm here? And you could. And it's so much cheaper than going to the show with all the cabs, beer, blah, 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 blah.
I think there was something to be said, though, that this was an appointment. We had to be here. It was not streamed anywhere else.
That's fair.
There were times in the middle of the show where people were walking in and out of the room. I had like noise-canceling headphones on, so I was fully zoned in on the show, zoomed in on the show, I should say. There were times I wanted to pause it because I've gotten so used to everything being on demand lately. It's, you're streaming a show, somebody comes in and has a conversation. It didn't used to be like that, and it was truly like being at a concert because you couldn't walk out of the room. If you did, you missed it. One thing I did miss, though, was standing next to my friends, but there were a couple points in the show where he finished a song really hard and you're like, yeah, woo!
Oh yeah,
and you wanted the crowd reaction to be there.
Totally. When he said hot damn in that song after the jam, like he was excited to be there, which was awesome. His guitar, his slide guitar just went off.
Yeah, was that Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair?
Yeah, I think that's about where it is. I don't know that song, but yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair. So Greg Dulli does a lot of covers. Mm-hmm. He's always done them in the Afghan Whigs. He always worked them into the live show, and it's very...
His voice is awesome.
And he does very unique covers. Yeah. He'll do hip-hop covers. He'll do Diana Ross, The Supremes. On Gentleman, he had the cover with I Keep Coming Back, right at the end of Gentleman. I keep coming back for a little more of your love. That's, Tyrone Davis, who's kind of an obscure guy from, this is the early 70s. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is he goes into these different genres. He'll explore different things. He ended the show with not only a Prince cover, it was I Would Die For You into I'm a Star. Two freaking songs, a Prince medley he finishes the show with. And all of it sounds exactly like Greg Dulli. We were talking about Black is the Color of My True Love's Hair. This is actually a B-side of a single for the Twilight Singers, and then the Twilight Singers put a full album of covers out called She Loves You, and that was where this appeared. And another cover he did, which is also from that same covers album by the Twilight Singers, is Too Tough to Die, which is Martina Topley Bird. Again, a contemporary soul singer, and he is well known for doing plenty of other covers that aren't on the album. I'm a little bit surprised he didn't do Tusk from Fleetwood Mac, given that Peter Green just died recently. He puts his spin on it, and it sounds great.
It does sound. What I missed from the earlier show is I would have loved to hear It Kills in Algiers.
Well, it was funny when we knew what the makeup of the set list was. He said 18 songs in the second half. 9 of them are going to be duplicates. And what did I text you? I said 6 songs from the new album are going to be the duplicates. Teenage Wristband. Algiers, which I was wrong about. And the third one I also got right. Toy Automatic from the most recent Afghan Whigs album. So they got together after 2014, recorded 2 albums. It looks like they have a third one coming, hopefully in 2022. Maybe they can get together in 2021 if this virus breaks.
Yeah, no, I don't think they've done it yet. My understanding is they haven't actually done it yet, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think they've gotten together. So he played 6 songs from the new album and 7 songs from the new album in the second show. So he got a lot of cover on the new album. One thing I'm surprised he didn't play, though, was Pantomima, which was his single that he put out before the album. It was like the teaser piece that came out. It wasn't a song that I loved when it came out, That being said, I feel this way when a lot of his albums come out. I'm like, oh, this one's all right. It's okay. And then I go back and listen to it 3 years later, and I'm just blown away at how great it is. I think I felt that way for the most recent Afghan Whigs album, in spades.
Yeah, that's the one you played all the songs off of.
So do you have any favorite parts of the show?
No, the jam when he got excited by the other guy playing because it's cool to play with other people. There's one song he did 2 songs in a row. You saw the pause. He took his headphones off, and I'm like, why are they showing that? And he just keeps playing. That was cool. I think he was a good host. Like, he knew what he was doing was weird, and he wished that everyone was there, but he did it in such a way that made you feel like, I get what you're doing. So, I had a good time. And I hope more people do it. And you're right, Steve. Like, I'm excited to see other people that will pay $8, $10 to $12 to see. But not on a monthly basis, like like once a year.
No, I'm talking a handful of bands that I would love to see.
Totally, 100%. No.
It's especially true if it's like the opening band. You want to see the opening band, and it's a hassle to get to the show. Yeah, it's amazing to me that Greg Dulli's been around as long as he has in the many incarnations, whether the Afghan Whigs or the Twilight Singers or the Gutter Twins or some other guest pieces that he's done. He's been successful at a moderately sized level, but it's amazing. He tours every couple of years. He puts out an album every couple of years. And it's amazing to me, someone like you who knows the Afghan Whigs so well, and you're not the first person I told. I'm like, look, the Twilight Singers are a continuation of the Afghan Whigs. If you like the Afghan Whigs, you like the Twilight Singers. It's essentially it's the same creative person behind it with a very similar sound. Yes, it's a little bit different, but
I'm dying because I have 5 albums I can go listen to now that you're telling me about, which is going to be sick.
Lucky for you, and lucky for some of our listeners.
All in all, my feelings on the concert were, I'm glad to have watched it. I'm glad to have contributed to his artistry. He's really good. Really proud of his performance, his guitar playing. Didn't know that he played piano so much. That makes it even better. His slide guitarist was good. Like, my son came out, he's like, I thought this was you, but this is better. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, of course he's better. But if you even thought it was me at all, I feel really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he's definitely a talented guy, although I think he keeps himself to... it's a relatively limited palette of sounds that he's in. The longing angular guitars, an insistent drum beat, which wasn't present tonight, but knowing these songs, you can feel them building with momentum.
He could have gotten a drummer. He decided not to, which I thought was a good decision, but I agree with you. The drummer missing is mammoth. And that's probably why there's none of the old Afghan Whig songs, because he knows how to play them with the band.
That could be. Or he's, like you said, making a statement. I'm amazed at the Afghan Whigs or Greg Dulli, whatever he's doing. I'm amazed that he's not selling out Madison Square Garden. I feel like he's that likable. The songs he does have that strong pop structures. Especially, you see it here. He could strip it down to an acoustic guitar or a piano and a guy playing slide in the background. That's when you know you've written a good song.
Wait, hold on. I want to play a totally different game with you right now, though. Bands that you think should be selling out stadiums. I think Ween is even higher than Greg Dulli and the Afghan Whigs, and why aren't they selling out stadiums?
Ween's better than Fish. I mean, Fish sells out arenas, and they've been doing it for decades. Ween is so much better than them. So much more enjoyable, too.
I agree. They can do anything.
Dean Ween is the most underrated guitar, not only of our generation, but of possibly all time.
All right, we're going to have that episode soon. Hey, thanks everyone for joining us. This was the first episode of Season 2.
And we'll be back next week for more of Season 2, maybe getting psychedelic.
Woo! I can't wait.
And if you've made it this far, you must really like us. So maybe put that feeling into words. Drop us a nice review on whatever platform you listen to us on. It's pretty simple, and it goes a long way. It makes people like me and Keith think we're loved.